Welcome to the 4A podcast. My name is Bradley Greenberg, and I am here today with Tom Wolin and Aidan Franklin. How are we doing today, boys?
Doing good. Some of those picks did not land. In fact, some of them were absolutely horrendous, but we're back again to make more predictions. More.
We have to get back on track somehow.
Toronto, they lost at home. The Mets are going to Met. St. Louis couldn't play defense, and Cleveland and Tampa Bay can't hit, but Cleveland can barely hit a little bit more. We're going to recap the wild card series, and then we're going to go into the division series. We're going to summarize our little competition, and then we're going to make predictions because that's kind of what we do here. So I want to start this off. What happened to Toronto? Luis Castillo happened.
I think exactly what we predicted was going to happen happened. The offense folded game one, and they came back game two and scored the runs they needed to. And just like we predicted, they were not able to provide the defense that they needed.
Yeah, no, that was one of the heartbreakers for me as picking Toronto. That second game, I thought, well, you force it to game three, anything can happen. And then that bullpen came into action and did worse than I think all of us thought would happen.
I think we were all a little bit concerned about that bullpen. Like we were really just concerned that it didn't have much depth. But when when Tim Mayza came in game two, I mean, I don't know why they brought out Kevin Gausman. He was a little bit shaky, but Gausman over Mayza any day of the week. You're still putting a switch hitter. It may have been against his platoon, but Santana's going to make you pay. He's a veteran in the playoffs. And you know what? It didn't fall correctly. But something we did get from this is like people were concerned about the lack of depth in that Mariners offense. It's a legitimate offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something to be reckoned with, especially with the clutch factor in that offense. It seems like bats that weren't even playing a role in the regular season are not coming alive, like Cal Raleigh.
Big dumper.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what I think that's what some of us said was some bats that we did not hit in regular season or did not product, in regular season, they're gonna come alive. They're gonna fight. They're gonna battle, and they're gonna get these big hits that they need to happen. Like, I mean, Padres, Grisham.
And then something that I'm honestly concerned about for the Mariners is Robbie Ray did not look good. It counted. He went against one lefty in the Blue Jays. It was a pretty right-handed heavy lineup, and he paid for it. Like the Blue Jays struck early and they got him out quick. But on the other side, the Mariners got to Gausman and they got to Manoah. Manoah had been lights out right coming into the postseason. But unfortunately, the movie had an ending that the Blue Jays didn't see coming. It was a nice little plot twist for them. Better plot twist for the Mariners fans. So in this series, Tom, who was your pick to stand out?
My pick was J-Rod, but with a secondary pick of Gino. And I know I can't technically take the points for Gino, but I was right on Gino. I was right on J-Rod, but I mean Gino did his thing. He batted in a ton of runs. He hit for high slugging percentage that whole series, the whole 2-game series. So, but he still was one of the biggest factors in that whole series. So I'll take points if I can get them.
I'll give them to you. So basically what we're doing here is when we made our predictions last episode, we're going to get points for them. If you were spot on, they did their job. They took over the series. You get 2 points for them. If they were solid, they weren't amazing, but you know what? They were a quality contributor. You get a point. If they were Nolan Arenado against the Phillies, you got no points. And if you got it correct, you got a point. So Tom, he had Suarez and he had the Mariners winning. So he gets 3 points right there. Aidan, what about you?
Aidan?
Yeah, so that wasn't my brightest pick for I when I picked the Jays, I thought if the Jays were gonna win, Vladdy he would have to do is something, anything more than he did. And no, he didn't.
And also you had the Blue Jays winning, so 0 Vladdy and 0 Blue Jays got you a fat 0 on the board.
Yeah.
And then I had Gino.
but
completely original idea. We don't listen to the podcast in chronological order. I had Gino by myself, and I had the Mariners winning. So there's 3 points there. The Mariners, they're legit. Like the Mariners are a legit offense. But speaking of offense, lack thereof, we go to Cleveland versus Tampa Bay. The first game was one of the quickest games in postseason since I believe the late 90s. And the second game decided to go 15 innings. Balancing the scales a little bit. But one thing that was common through both those games is there was no offense. Game 1, Jose Siri off of Shane Bieber, who pitched fantastic. And then Jose Ramirez returns the favor in the bottom of the inning. He strikes back off of Shane McClanahan, 2-run home run. Shane McClanahan threw great. But 2-1 was enough to end game 1. And then game 2 happened.
Yeah. Yeah, no, game 2, 15 innings. I think that's all you had to say. 15 innings, not that many hits, and 1 hit. SpongeBob did it. That's all it took was the walk-up song, SpongeBob, get people going, and he ends it. And let's go into picks.
I was actually going to, before we go to that,
Yeah,
Corey Kluber led up to the home run. How fitting is that? Like, if you're a Cleveland fan, right? You're happy you won, but you gotta feel like guilty, right? Like something hurt doing that.
Yes. Yes and no. I feel like once a player is on a different team, it's almost like, are you a fan of the player or are you a fan of the franchise? And I feel like for Guardians fans, it's not. They're in the next round and Tampa Bay's not. And I think that they would rather see that than Corey Kluber winning the World Series. So, I mean, I don't know if it's that big of a deal, but I definitely think – I don't think we could have predicted it better. I think at the beginning last episode we said this would be run by pitching and this would be run by bullpens too after pitching. And we saw that in a 15-inning bullpen brawl, and that we couldn't have predicted that better. And so, I mean, that whole series was run by pitching, like we said.
And something that's really concerning, or not concerning, but I think it's more food for thought for this offseason. We'll talk about it later. The Rays aren't built for the postseason. The Rays are built to win in the regular season, but they have pitching. They can pitch all day, every day, but they don't have that bat, and it showed this series. And they didn't have a Rosarena going, and they didn't have Franco going, and they didn't have offense.
Yeah, I feel like you lack that magic. When you lack the magic of a Rosarena last year, you lack the magic of Franco coming up. I feel like this team just does not have the offensive firepower to even contend, because you could have a great pitching staff and still give up 1 run and get shut out. And I see a similar trend in the Brewers, who have great pitching staff, horrible offense. So really, I think in the offseason, I think it would be good to aim for some good bats. I don't think a move like Nelson Cruz, like they did last year, was a good idea. I feel like going for some younger bats or even some prime bats would be a better idea. I know they can't afford like the best bats in the game, but upgrades in certain positions would definitely help them out.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think I perfectly said it in the last episode. This game was going to be a brawl. It was going to be a save situation or walk off. Any game. It happened to only go 2 games, but I mean, I think we all saw this coming. I mean, no one team is going to blow out the other team. It's one of those series.
All right. Did we all have the Guardians winning that?
Yes.
Okay.
We all had the Guardians.
Aidan, you're on the board. Good job.
Thank you.
And then, so Aidan, you had Jose Ramirez.
I did.
Now, no offensive player had an outstanding series. How are we feeling about grading this? Like
impact. I would go.
Like he had that play in the 12th inning. He had the huge home run in game 1. We given 2 points to him.
Yeah, I do.
All right, and then Tom, you had Andres Gimenez.
Hey man, he didn't. I guess he's new to the scene, so I mean he's got time to adjust now for the next series. I don't plan to pick him again. The upcoming series, but I think that he's got room to grow for sure. I think he had something to prove this series, and he just wasn't ready for the all the attention, all the spotlight.
And then I had Tristan Mckenzie. I think the okay, his impact was really big until it went 15 innings.
I think even then, if you'd say McKenzie only went 4 innings, then your bullpen would have had to go a lot longer. I think the impact of him going deep into the game and also shutting him down also it could be even more impactful than J Ram in terms of just like winning it for your team.
And I mean, if you look at him, he pitched how many innings?
6.
6,
Yeah.
giving up 1-2 hits.
1 or 2 hits, yeah.
Yeah, 1 or 2 hits. I mean, I think he kept his own, handed it to the bullpen perfectly. Just, the Guardians didn't score until 15th when it, actually mattered. But
Yeah. So that sums up the American League. So far, looking at those point totals, Aidan is at the bottom with 3, Tom has 4, and I have 6. And St. Louis versus Philadelphia. I told you all. I told you so, and I told you so. There's just something that was off about the Cardinals for me. It was also that Nola and Wheeler are really good, but it just didn't feel like the Cardinals were going to pitch to the level that the Phillies could. Jose Quintana did really good. He pitched fantastic in game 1. I mean, so did Zach Wheeler. And then, Jose Alvarado comes in, lets up a 2-run home run. And we're all celebrating because, you all are, because Ryan Helsley's on the mound. It's the 9th inning. He got the first out. Oh, no.
defense.
Oh, no. Tommy Edman lets a ball go through. Nolan Arenado whiffs. The Phillies take a 6-2 lead and win game 1 behind Led Zeppelin closing it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one, was a shock to everybody. I mean, sure, you score 1 run, tie it. Yeah, 1-2 runs, tie the game, take the lead, do whatever you want. 6 runs. I mean, it left me speechless, and I think after you score 6 runs, the only fitting way to end it is to win the next game with Nola on the mound.
Yeah, that's probably one of the toughest challenges, to choke away a game and then have to the very next day face one of the best pitchers in baseball. And I didn't call for the Phillies to win, but I did call when Nola was on the mound that the Phillies would win the game, and that proved to be true because I mean he really dominated that game. And I mean after that first game, the Cardinals' momentum was gone, absolutely gone. So going into game 2, they had absolutely nothing going for them, and the Phillies had everything going for them, and the Cardinals had had everything to lose, and the Phillies had nothing to lose. So,
yeah. And before we talk about it a little bit more, I want to preface that Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina, Albert Pujols, fantastic careers. We never got to see Pujols. We came to baseball fandom early 2010s, like right when he was exiting the prime. We did get to see a couple years of Yadi's prime, but most of what we've seen of Yadi has been kind of downhill. Wayno's been a lot better the past couple years, but just fantastic careers. I don't think they wanted it to end like this, but Yadi and Pujols went on the highest note that they could have, given the situation.
Yeah, personal achievements, both. I mean, all of them are actually incredible. The battery, the home run number. I mean, it's crazy.
And then the one thing that really sticks out to me about this is obviously St. Louis's defense was bad, but there was a play in the first game where there's a ground ball to Paul Goldschmidt, and he throws it home. It have to be a perfect throw to get the out there. You turn a double play there, you're losing a run. Like, I think, would that have been the tying run or the go-ahead run?
Go ahead.
Okay, so that would have been the 3rd run, but you're getting 2 outs on that play. Like, at least 1 out, if not 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the situations where you at least have to tag first. and at least get yourself one out. I mean, I see where he's coming from. He makes that though. He spins around, he looks home, and I mean, it's a half a second judgment play. You know, you either have to spin and hit second, spin and hit home, or touch first. And, you know, he went to try and preserve the tie, and it backfired.
I mean, so I mean, yeah, I agree with Aidan. I agree with everything you just said. So,
And then so for this series, I had Bryce Harper taking it over, and I don't think he took it over, but he had the big home run in game 2.
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I think impact is there, but it isn't. Like first game, he I mean, he was almost invisible. Second game, he hit that home run that it put them up. It put them, you know, feeling good, giving Nola that lead. So I mean, I think the impact is there, but I mean, is it as much as 2 points? I would say probably not, probably 1 point.
Yeah.
I would say the Phillies' most valuable player is either Tommy Edman or Nolan Arenado, because the Cardinals threw the game.
Okay.
So
I'm confused there.
Philly bats because there wasn't anything that really stood out. I would say Bryce Harper is deserving of a point or two, but I think the pitching and the literal opposing team was more valuable than their own bats. But yeah, it was an
And,
interesting.
and yeah, I mean, if you look at it, that top of the ninth for Philly, do they have any extra base hits? If not one, I think it was single, error, single,
Walk.
fielder's choice,
Yeah.
walk. I mean, they really did it Little League style.
Yeah. And then can y'all tell me about y'all's picks real quick?
Oh man. So I had Miles Mikolas. He. Oh yeah. Aidan, what was your pick?
I I had Nolan Gorman, and I truly thought they should have played him, and they needed to play him, and they didn't play him. And I mean, he got up once, and I think got a single, or walked or something, or he pinch ran, even worse. So you know, he was 0 points and 0 points for the pick.
Mm, dang. Yeah. But y'all might have got that one wrong, but we all got the next series wrong.
Yeah,
We all thought the Mets would win. And honestly, I don't think at any point after like the first inning or two of the first game, there was any hope. The Mets won game 2, but it felt like they were skating by on thin ice with ankle weights. It didn't feel like they won game 2. I don't know. I think that's how I feel about it.
Yeah,
yeah,
you hadn't seen their season dominance, beginning of the season dominance, you would see this team, and you'd probably guess they're the last seed. You would probably think, how did this team even get in? The way that they're playing seemed like it would be one of the bottom feeder teams that barely got into the playoffs. They didn't look like the dominant Mets that we had predicted that would they folded when it was crunch time.
and I mean, if you truly looked at, I mean, I would probably say the matchup going in. Looking, you have Scherzer going 1, Degrom going 2, Bassett going 3. You have the NL batting champ in there. You know, you have Pete Alonso who hit a ton of home runs. How would they lose? But the Padres came in as the away team with some fire in them, did their thing. I mean, what more could you ask for an away team coming into City Field?
Last offseason, Max Scherzer signs a 3-year record-breaking deal. I think he's making like 43 million this year. The scene on Friday night is Max Scherzer walking off the field, 4 1/3, 7 earned runs to a chorus of boos at home. I don't think any of us could have seen Max Scherzer getting booed off the field at his home stadium.
No, and I think if you look at the situation where, I mean, I think Tom even said it, one of them are destined I mean, not destined, but his guess was one of them was gonna fail, the other one was gonna pitch good, and that one happened to be Scherzer. When we say fail, 7 runs getting booed on your home field, no. I mean, it happens, it does, but to one of the best in Scherzer, it stings.
It begs the question, and I was thinking about this ever since it's happened. Is it a bad game from Scherzer, or is it a great adjustment from the Padres? Is it great preparation from the Padres?
It's Max
Is there?
Scherzer's hurt.
Yeah, but is it the fact that he's pitching at a poor level, or that he's pitching at a good level and the other team was just better and overpowered that?
I mean, I think it's a mixture of everything. I think it's a mixture of the Padres coming in knowing they have to hit and they hit and they prepared to hit and against Scherzer. I think it's you mix in Scherzer being obviously you're gonna come out and say, he's not 100%. He didn't look 100%. Um and just the Padres simply looked like the team with more just they just looked mad and they looked like they were having fun and it came back and that's all you need.
Yeah, and game 2, we knew the Mets were going to try and rebound. They take the lead early, and then Trent Grisham goes oppo taco off of, I believe, 100 on the black. Trent Grisham was outstanding this series. Jacob Degrom, that was my pick. He was through 5 innings. He had allowed 2 runs. He's definitely not 100%. And honestly, he made it through the 6th. He was okay. I think we all didn't feel like Jacob Degrom was Jacob Degrom.
I mean, I feel like uh, just me all season, DeGrom has not been DeGrom. You've had a start here, you've had a start there where he's good, but I mean, his velocity was up. I mean, he was constantly throwing 101. He'd hit 102 here. But it looked like his location was off. I mean, he was throwing that, but it was right down the middle, or you know, and yes, you can throw velocity, but when you throw it, you have to have some location. And it didn't look like all the time he had it. And I think that's what costed him.
I would say DeGrom looked like DeGrom up until September 13th. And even past that day, he was still getting over 10 strikeouts a game, but he started allowing a lot more runs and walking a lot more batters. He gave up 5 runs to the A's. Um, that that is not a like thing. So obviously finishing off the season with a decent game against the Padres, I mean against the Braves, he had some momentum, but I don't think he was able to maintain that. He had a decent start, but he didn't have a DeGrom start.
And I almost think that, as much as DeGrom is DeGrom making money, this, that, DeGrom, the whole team, he's the best player, I would put it. After I feel he just looked different after that athletic start. It almost like rattled him and shook him and like, holy cow, anybody can do this to me. And I think that was a little shaking. But I'm shocked. Behind City Field, City Field was loud, even down 6. They were loud, the down 4, the trumpets coming out.
Honestly, I don't think that was bad though. I think it's like you got to keep the fans in it. So having the trumpets, it's not bad. Like he's
No, and
getting like they're getting crapped on for it. It's not that bad.
no, and it's I mean the just I mean they're gonna get joked on because of the Mets and they blew it and they played trumpets down 4. But honestly, down 4, he's coming in, you put Narco on to try and get the fans into it, get him into it, close him down, score 2 runs here, and they did. Well, they didn't score the runs, but Diaz shut him down. I think you had a run on first and second. You had an opportunity to score your runs, and you didn't in the 7th. And it just
They scored 2 runs off of him
did they?
because it was
Yeah,
second. It was
the
second and third,
Soto,
and Soto hit that
the
ground ball down the
Soto.
line.
Yeah, but
Were those his runs,
No, they were. Who was in before him?
Bassett? Or no, it was
No, it
no.
wasn't Bassett. Who was it? I don't know.
I
Whoever
mean,
it was.
that series was so bad. I mean, it was you can't even think who was pitching. I know May pitched both. Like I feel like he pitched twice. Diaz came in, but with that series, I feel like it's just so mushed together and just, awfulness to be completely honest. Predictions. I had, I did I even who did I pick?
You had Juan Soto.
I did, and Soto was one of the question marks we had going into here. Could he spark the team? And he had that hit off of Diaz that scored 2 runs to kind of put the dagger. But other than that, I think he walked. I think he struck out a couple times. So I think it's 1 point for Soto and 0 points for the team winning.
Yeah. So I think first night though, he went 0 for 3 or 0 for 4, and he rolled over 3 times to ground outs. Second night, smoking the ball, makes it into the outfield, and he finally comes through
Yeah.
in the last night. I agree with that point there.
Yeah.
I think my pick was Lindor. Really not making too much noise. I believe he had did he have a home run in game 2?
Didn't score in game 2. Or no, sorry,
Well,
yes, game 2. They didn't score in game 3.
yeah. So there was a little bit of firepower from Lindor, but not enough to really make any impact. There wasn't runners on base when he was up at bat. There wasn't much RBI opportunity. It wasn't the offense wasn't coming together as a whole, so it was hard to capitalize.
And I really feel like that's been the Mets all season. Degrom pitches lights out, no runs. Scherzer pitches lights out, no runs. They scored 10, 15 runs, no pitching. It's one of those, even if they do win, it's they don't get both. And when they do, obviously they win, but when? How often? It was rare.
And then I had DeGrom 1 point. He was fine.
Yeah.
I would almost say no points.
Well, yeah, if you're going to give yourself points for DeGrom, I think I should get some for Lindor just because he hit a home run in the game that they won.
I don't think DeGrom deserves a point. He was not. I don't
DeGrom.
think he would say he got a point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he wasn't DeGrom, and
Yeah,
I think you get 1 point for him being DeGrom, and you get 2 points for him being DeGrom. It's like
and he wasn't that.
yeah, yeah.
All right, so we have wrapped it up. The scores right now, we have a two-way tie for second place of 3 people. We have Aidan and Tom with 4 points. I'm in first with 8. We'll be right back. See you after this.
Welcome back to the 4A podcast. We are about to make our NL and ALDS predictions. Brace yourself for some hot takes. Brad, you want to start us off with the Guardians versus Yankees?
I got the Guardians. The Guardians got this. Like, honestly, the Yankees, they can hit. They can rake. I don't know what Aaron Judge is going to do. I don't know how what's it been a week off is going to affect him. I'm interested to see what Matt Carpenter is going to do. He's on the roster, but Garrett Cole and Nestor Cortez, they rub me. But past that, like, I don't trust the Yankees pitching because they're not going to pitch to the degree that the Rays just did. So the Guardians are probably going to hit a little bit better, and the Guardians are going to pitch. So
I think something we forgot about just in this recent series is how good the Guardians have been hitting. This is a team that led all of Major League Baseball in hits in the second half of the year. And I'm going to have to agree with you, Brad, just because I'm feeling a similar situation in this Yankees Guardians matchup, just because as compared to the Padres Mets, the Yankees have everything to lose. They have a very wanting fan base and a fan base that's going to criticize them for anything. And I think that's going to get to their heads. You saw Joey Gallo, how he played in the Bronx. It's a challenge. It's going to be in the Bronx. So if you have a bad performance by any player, they're going to get booed. And you also got the fact that the Yankees are. Someone's just knocking on the window. Sorry. You got the fact that the Yankees have everything to lose, and the Guardians feel like they're coming in here as you know, no one thinks that they should be here, except for the Guardians.
Yeah.
And you know, Brad, you take this back over real quick.
So basically, Tom and I agree that the Guardians can take this over. Yankees have all the pressure on them. Aidan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I have the Yankees, and truly, I think this is I mean, I might be one of few, because what they have done in the postseason recently, I think it's getting to everybody's head. But this Yankees team, I don't know, this one's different than all the other ones, and I personally have them winning the World Series, but it's this Yankees team depends on pitching, in my opinion. They're gonna hit, they're gonna hit. What Garrett Cole are we gonna get in game one? Are we gonna get the one where he strikes out 13 and gives up 4 hits? Or are we gonna get the one that, strikes out 8 but gives up 4 home runs? And, if we get a good Garrett Cole and he comes out and he plays well and he sets the stage for, the other for Nestor Cortez and that bullpen, I think the Yankees can handle their business. They're gonna hit for power. They will. And you have some guys that might hit for contact, but if they can hit for power, they can pitch. Who's gonna stop them?
I can see that. It's just the Garrett Cole concern. Like he can't pitch in the postseason. And where Cleveland may not have been as forgiving to a contact hitter like Owen Miller or what's his name, Stephen Kwan. You make that mistake to Stephen Kwan at Yankee Stadium, that doesn't go over the short porch. And honestly, if you're comparing the bullpens here, you don't have Aroldis Chapman, who's horrible in the postseason. We don't need to talk about him. But Scott Efros, Clay Holmes, Jonathan Loaisiga, and you got to compare it to just everyone who just threw for the Guardians. Sam Hentges just went for 3 innings and blanked the Rays.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point is how would that bullpen perform? You have a problem here, problem there. Are they gonna be fully healthy? You've had a couple, injury concerns. But I think another aspect, we have to bring up about the series. What about how young this Guardians team is? Pardon me.
Excuse you.
This Guardians team, the youngest team in the MLB. You have that Bieber, you have that J Ram who have that experience, but you have a lot of young guys. How can they do in a postseason in the Bronx? If they can shake out their nerves, play well, this will be probably the best series of this ALDS or the division series. But what if they can't? What if they, that first playoff series, which I think was perfect for them, was at home. Now you have to go to a rowdy crowd in New York, play in the Bronx, cold weather. I think it depends on, what Garrett Cole we're gonna get. 2, can the young Guardians come out and play good?
Yeah, and I was looking at the season record. The Yankees have 5 out of 6 wins in that matchup. But keep in mind that is also not considering the last month where Cleveland suddenly became the best hitting team in all of baseball. So you got to weigh in both factors here. The Yankees have declined since that first series, and the Indians have gotten a lot better. So I don't know. This series is one that I'm going to be watching the most. Abe, what are you doing?
Pardon you, the who?
Oh my goodness, the Guardians. Gotta get used to it.
This Guardians team reminds me of the 2019 Nationals. You have a team that they weren't projected to win the division. You weren't projected to do this, that, but you are scorching going into the playoffs. You are hitting insanely well in the last month. You're doing this or that. Nobody expects you to, to really. I mean, we did. Other people, the wild card, yeah, but nobody expects them, I feel like, to really beat this Yankees team. I mean, can they do it? Sure, but I mean, I feel like most of the experts really have that I've seen the Yankees winning.
Yeah, and most of the experts had the Mets beating the Padres, but you cited it the cold weather. That's not going to have an effect. They play in Cleveland. It's freezing there. It's just, I think personally, I have the Guardians winning us in 4. I think if they can take one of 2 in New York, they're going home for 2 games. And they play well at home. Like there is a formula for the Guardians to win this. If that formula fails, the Yankees win. The Yankees don't have to have an explicitly written formula. They don't have to use the Pythagorean theorem. But the Yankees can falter and the Guardians can win this. Guardians in 4.
So I'll give my prediction in 1 second after I state one thing. The thing about this series that is interesting is it goes New York, rest day, New York, rest day, Cleveland, rest day, Cleveland, New York. No rest day in between games 4 and 5. So you have a veteran team in New York, and then you have a team in, like I said, the young team. How can they handle the flying to the flying to New York to play in a crucial game 5? So I personally have Yankees in 4, but I also think if it gets to game 5, the Yankees would win. I think personally, if the Guardians are gonna do it, they have to do it in they have to do it in 3 or 4.
So, in a statement, just to summarize what actually is going on, it's game 1 off day, game 2 off day, 3, 4, 5. So 3, 4, and 5 are back to back to back. Just so we have that clear.
Yeah, I don't know how much of an impact the stadium will have, how much impact the travel time will have, because both teams are gonna have to deal with it, and both teams, I don't know. But I have the Guardians winning in 5. I think that the Guardians are gonna go up 2-0, and the Yankees are going to storm back, and score a lot of runs in the next few games, and then game 5 is going to be a long game. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. But you got 2 very good hitting teams with one team having a weaker pitching staff. I think there's going to be a lot of high scoring games. And I mean, you could see this whole Yankees team just completely vanish on offense. We've seen it before. And that's what worries me. I'm not a Yankees fan, so I don't worry about that stuff. But if I was a Yankees fan, I would be worried to play the Guardians, especially coming off of that win where they showed to be dominant on the pitching side. I don't see the Yankees winning here. I think a lot of people think the Yankees are going to win, but they've proved to be frauds for most of the season. So I truly believe I'm sticking by that. I got Guardians in 5.
So you think the Guardians can travel back from Cleveland to New York, like I said, a young team, and beat them in New York in game 5 in a low scoring game?
I think I don't know if it's gonna be a low scoring game, but I think yes, I think they can do it. I think they can. The Yankees got to fly back too. I mean, it's something that every baseball player has to deal with. I know they're less experienced, but they've proven to be pretty clutch. Just in this last series, I'm pulling for that. I'm pulling for the clutch to keep up, and I'm pulling for the bats to keep stay hot. Y'all ready to pick your MVPs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Brad, you want to start us off?
Honestly, I know I have the Guardians winning this, and I'm going to go for a reach here. I have Oswaldo Cabrera. I think Oswaldo Cabrera, I don't think he's going to do anything but hit home runs. But he's going to hit a couple home runs. And they might be important, they might not be. But there's just something there that screams postseason.
Yeah, I mean, certainly an interesting one, and I have I think probably a more interesting one than you would. You have obviously the big names, Judge, Stanton, Rizzo. Can they hit? Will they hit? I'm gonna go with a shocker, and I'm gonna go with Kyle Higashioka. I think he's batting low in this lineup. I think they're gonna get some base runners in that middle, and once or twice he's gonna deliver those big knocks in Yankee Stadium. Look at games 1, 2, and 5. If it gets to 5, I think he's gonna deliver those huge knocks because nobody's gonna expect it from him.
I think mine's interesting because it's very rare to see a closing pitcher win a series MVP, but every game that the Guardians will win in this series, it has to have an ending with Class A in it. There has to be a Class A finisher. And yes, I love this guy. He's absolutely incredible. But I truly believe to shut the door on the Yankees, it will be Class A in every game that the Guardians win. And I'm going to say that's going to be the most valuable.
All right, so there you have it.
I mean, I'd agree.
Three very hot takes. I mean, not a single one of those was like safe. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out.
Okay, so copping over to the other side. All right. Just saying it on 3. Mariners or Astros? 3, 2, 1. Astros. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't beat that team. Like
I don't see it happening. It's like David versus Goliath. If the Mariners were able to pull off an upset against the Astros, it would literally be like the 2019 Nationals beating the Dodgers. This is something I just don't see. This team with like the maximum postseason experience versus a team with absolutely no postseason experience. This is a team with a really well-rounded pitching staff and a team that even after being proved to be cheating is still continuing to rake. It's just the matchup does not seem fair. And I don't see the Mariners pulling through this. It's gonna be tough for the Mariners to even win a game in the series, as much as I'm rooting for them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think honestly, I think everybody but Astros fans are cheering for Seattle. And it's just, and I think one thing we didn't even mention for the whole division series is if you look at it, it's truly the division series. You have, besides the Yankees Guardians, you have AL West, NL West against NL West, and NL East against NL East. There's gonna be some bad blood in these series. And
yeah, these are teams that are familiar with each other, like all of them.
And I think this series is truly gonna come down to Seattle and their offense. I think Seattle's gonna have to score. You don't go into Houston and limit this team to 1, 2 runs. I think Houston's gonna average 4 to 5 runs a game in the whole series. So I think if Seattle wants to come in and win, which they did in a hostile Toronto environment, they have to come in, they have to play. You can't make mistakes. You cannot make a crucial error. You can't, make these big mistakes that ultimately, St. Louis did. Yeah, you have to play clean baseball and you have to score. And if they can score and they can play clean baseball, you can take a 5, maybe. But you can't beat this Astros team.
Brad, I got a question for you. You know baseball pretty well, so I got a question. The Mariners and the Astros met 19 times this season. How many games do you think the Astros won this season?
I think they won 14 out of 19.
They won 12 out of 19. So they went 12-7, which means the Mariners were able to pull off some victories in there. I would have thought it was a lot more lopsided coming into this, but it's by no means insanely lopsided. Like we're gonna look at later, the Padres and the Dodgers. That season matchup was crazy. I think that the Padres won 4 games, but 7's a lot different. It's a lot closer. And I think with a little bit of Seattle magic, they could pull something off, but I still don't have them winning. I think I have the Astros winning in 4. Yeah.
I think for another aspect for Seattle to win, there's a lot of aspects in this. You cannot get swept in Houston. You have to find a way to, if you can get one, that's all you need is get one game and take it back to Seattle 1-1. Have some life injected into you. Have that crowd that has not seen playoff baseball in 21 years. Have them come into it tied 1-1. I think you have a shot. You go down 2-0, you're not winning 3 straight games against, this Houston team.
Honestly, I want the Mariners to win so bad. Let's go, Mariners.
Oh,
Come on. I am
100%.
tired of seeing Minute Maid Park in the postseason. My eyes are numb from seeing it in the postseason. Get the Astros out. Let's see a new place in the World Series.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, Brad, what would your prediction be?
Okay, so the way I look at this is the Mariners have a very well-rounded team. They have really good pitching. They have a good bullpen. They have a quality starting staff. It's just you can fall so far from the top when you go with that offense, and you've got to go against McCullers, Valdez, and Justin Verlander. That is not who you want on the mound in a big game against you. And that's not even counting Houston's offense, they've all done this. Every single person on Houston, besides Jeremy Pena, Mauricio Dubon, and Trey Mancini, they have been here. Trey Mancini is a seasoned veteran. He's been through the ringer with the Orioles. This is his time. I just don't see a way that they can beat this Houston offense.
Yeah.
I think
I
they can
mean,
get to the pitching. I think they can get to the bullpen. Like the bullpen's been really good, but I think the Mariners can get to the Houston bullpen. They just can't outslug the Astros. It's something we said about the Blue Jays. They might not be able to outslug the Blue Jays, but you cannot outslug the Astros in the postseason.
yeah,
Yeah,
and Minute Maid Park, it's gonna be booming. It's gonna be, orange. It's gonna be loud. It always is. Houston fans, so supportive. Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm gonna say Astros in four because I think Seattle sneaks one out late, gets that crucial hit. But I mean, I could even see Houston in three. I don't think it goes. I don't think there's a chance it goes five. I don't think there's a chance Seattle can win this series.
Honestly, here's how I'm running it down. You're gonna get Verlander and probably Valdez game 1 and 2. I know it's Verlander game 1. I'm pretty sure it's Valdez game 2. From there, they have to face Logan Gilbert and either George Kirby or we get back to Luis Castillo.
Yeah.
I would throw George Kirby game 2. Get Castillo at home. I have this going 5 games. I have every home team winning.
Yeah. I yeah, I mean, I could totally see it. I the thing that really scares me is can can Seattle win back-to-back games against this team, even at home? Can they? I, that's the biggest question mark, is sure you can sneak one out. Can you sneak two out? Can you dominate one, sneak one out? Against Houston, I can't.
All right, Tom, who's your guy? Who's doing it?
I know I just picked a super risky one in the last one, but I'm going to go with a safe bet in Justin Verlander, someone who's just proved it time in and time out. This guy just ages like fine wine. Shout out Draft Nick Mark, man. This guy just ages like shit. He's just getting better every year, and he has not slowed down. He hasn't slowed down at all. So I see Verlander shutting down game one and maybe coming in as a reliever in later game.
Yeah. Um, I went risky, First one, I'm gonna go safe. I'm gonna go with Altuve. I mean, if it's gonna get started, it's gonna be with the, I don't know, 5'9" second baseman, even shorter than that. Who knows? I think, he's gonna get those big doubles, those, I mean, home runs here and there. I think if the Astros are gonna run away with it, Altuve needs to, he's been here before. He needs to be the head of it.
So I have two people. I'm trying to figure out which one I want. The first one, he's my dad. He's your dad. He's Jordan Alvarez. Obvious. But the one I am leaning towards is Christian Javier. I don't think he's going to start, but let's say McCullers gets hit hard. He's going to come in for 4 or 5 innings and strike out 8 or 9 people. Like Christian Javier's been lights out this year. He's been fantastic. He's going to be in the Astros bullpen. That's my guy. I got Christian Javier.
I like that pick. That's smart. I mean, I personally didn't even know Javier was in the bullpen. Like I would be worried to face him as a starter, but now as a bullpen arm, Yeah.
I feel like that's so good for Houston is you have starters like that. Okay, Seattle hit 20 of starters. Oh no, okay, Seattle's getting some momentum. Here comes Javier. Here comes somebody else from that bullpen. It's just there's so many things that Houston has, that it's going to be tough to even if you get hits off one guy, here comes the next.
And that brings us to the conclusion of the American League. And now it's time for the National League. Phillies Braves. Okay. Like I'm down to watch this. It's just those Braves. They're gonna be good without Spencer Strider. You give him Spencer Strider, the series is done in 3 games.
Yeah, that looking at it, that first pitching matchup, we saw pitching really won, the Phillies that first series. But you can't roll out with that 1-2 punch of Wheeler Nola right out of the gate. You have to run that third guy before you can possibly go back. And that third guy in that series happens to be who is it?
Ranger Suarez.
Ranger Suarez against Max Fried. That's just not the pitching matchup you want to have in Atlanta. I I I said this with St. Louis. I mean it here. I cannot see Philly taking game 1. I think if they're gonna do it, it's gonna be in Philly. If Philly can find some way to take it 2-0 going into Philly, Philly wins this series. Other than that, it's all Atlanta. I mean, Philly's going to be rocking. They haven't had playoffs in 11 years. Philly is an amazing sports town. Their fans are something else. But this Atlanta team is almost kind of like, this Houston team. They're built for this, They won it last year. They're coming back to do it again. Acuna, Olsen, that pitching. I mean, what weakness do they really have? Even Michael Harris, center field, he came out of nowhere.
Yeah, this team is that's how you build a franchise. I mean, you could also do it like the Dodgers and buy your whole team, but like the Braves.
I wouldn't say bought the whole team.
Go Giants. Okay.
Yeah, how's the postseason?
Hey, it's okay. It's okay. We'll be back. The Braves have built the team from the ground up, and that's how you do it. You lock them down. But another question for Brad and Aidan is similar question before. In the 19-game season split, how many games do you think the Braves won?
I know the Braves won a majority of them, but the Phillies played them hard at the end.
Yes.
I think out of the 19, you said?
Yeah.
Like 11-8.
Yes, Brad is spot on.
11-8?
Yeah. Brad knows. I was very surprised to read that. Going into this, I would have thought the Braves own the Phillies.
Now, what's the split in Atlanta and in Philly? I feel like that's going to be where this series is taken. That tomahawk. I'm assuming you guys saw that video of the Mets taking out their pitcher and it goes dark and the tomahawk chop with the flashlights begin.
Yeah.
That might be one of the best things in baseball. That you want to get fans involved. You want to get your experience hot and loud, and I mean that's what you have to do. That was incredible.
Yeah, I definitely think that I definitely think that the Phillies know the Braves. I wouldn't say the Phillies have the Braves number because they don't. The Braves still won the regular season matchup. And I honestly think that without some sort of magic that they had from the last series with some sort of error capitalizing on that, I don't think they have enough to overcome the Braves. I think the Braves are one of the true World Series superpowers. The Phillies have that magic, but I don't think that's going to be enough. I don't think the magic of Philadelphia is going to be enough. I'm actually considering going up to Philly for one of those games. So if we do on the next podcast, I'll let you know how that went. But I'm curious how Philadelphia reacts to their first postseason appearance. I know it's going to be electric up there, but I want to see how the team reacts to that electricity in the crowd and being at home.
I truly think this series relies on the big dogs for Philly. If they want to have a chance, you need Schwarber to come out and hit his shore bombs. You need Harper to come out and like light it up, hit well, get his team going. This is his team. He has to go out there and hit. And I mean, some of the veterans, like haven't seen the playoffs. Segura hasn't seen the playoffs, capitalized on his opportunity in the last series. He needs to capitalize. The big dogs, the guys that's been there together, need to lead the team. So if Philly has any chance, Harper, Schwarber need to take command.
Brad, what are your thoughts?
I have the Braves sweeping this. The more and more I look at it, the Phillies are outmatched. Like, the only way I see the Phillies winning a game, like let's say game 2, Wheeler's dealing, Kyle Wright's dealing. The Braves are up 2-0, top of the 9th inning. Kenley Jansen is on the mound, and it's time for the Kenley Jansen experience. Like I'm a Dodgers fan, so I went through this for 11 years, so I know every bit of what happens. He makes it interesting. There's never a clean save. I think they could beat Kenley, but if that doesn't come to that, I got Braves in 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Braves in 4. I honestly think they're gonna jump on one of the elite pitchers. I don't think that's something that many people would expect. I don't think it's gonna be Fried, but it could be right. I think that their bats could jump on one of the main pitchers because keep in mind they've been seeing these pitchers all year. They are relatively familiar to them. It being in the division is definitely weird because the Braves are familiar with the pitchers in the Phillies. The Phillies are familiar with the pitchers from the Braves. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they react to pitchers that they're so familiar with. I don't know. I think the Phillies might jump on one of the 3 pitchers in the first games, but I don't see it being enough. The Braves just have too much firepower.
Yeah, I mean, I have Atlanta in 4. You really look at it, and I mean, you guys said it perfectly. Atlanta just has just too much in general. They have, and I think Atlanta goes up 2-0, takes both the games at home. Philly then takes game 3 at home, first playoff. They have Nola on the mound. They take that game. They take the game at home with Nola, electric experience, but then it all comes crumbling down. Game 4, Atlanta is just, I think it's going to be a landslide in game 4. I mean, it's going to get ugly. Obviously, you still have to put in decent pitchers, so you don't have a Toronto recap, but I think it's going to be Atlanta scoring double digits would be my guess in game 4 and shuts it down. Goes back to the NLCS.
All right, so you guys want to guess your MVPs?
Sure. I'm floating on 2 again. So if you guys make yours, I think I'll have mine.
All right, Aidan, you want to start us off?
Oh, man, this one's tough for me because I know it. I said it kind of relies on the big dogs of Philly, but I can't pick either one because it's gonna go in 4. Uh, I'm down, like Brad said, I'm down to 2, but 2 on Atlanta. I think it's one of the outfielders for Atlanta. I think it's either Harris or Cunha, but you have that dark horse pick in William Contreras. I feel like could be that sneaky pick. I'm gonna go with Michael Harris. I think he's gonna take it in stride. He's gonna go. He's gonna just take his regular season, keep it. He's gonna get a couple clutch knocks here, and he's gonna hit a huge, when I say huge, a huge playoff home run, walk off, go ahead, something like that.
I got Riley. I got Austin Riley. I mean, this is your player of the month. When he had that player of the month, that was arguably the best month I've ever one of the best months I've seen from a player. He just when I saw him go up to the plate, I was genuinely scared. I think if he can if he can regain that and get hot at the right time, this is a streaky player we're talking about. I think Austin Riley is probably the scariest batter to face in that lineup. So I'm going to go with him.
Dansby Swanson, go get yourself paid.
No.
Go get
Yeah.
paid.
I mean, I like that. I like that pick. I do. Yeah. No, simple. I like it. I like both of you guys' picks. I mean, I think we all know Atlanta's the powerhouse here. We all have Atlanta winning, and one of the Atlanta guys is gonna take control.
All right.
All right.
I'm gonna. Do you mind if I go off for a
Go
second?
go ahead. Your team,
Okay.
you're in the playoffs. Go
Okay.
crazy.
So I love the Dodgers, but I am nervous. I don't trust this team. Like, this team reminds me of 2019. We are good, but we are not that good. You're throwing Urias, then Kershaw, then probably Anderson for game 1, 2, 3. We don't know who game 4 is. It'll probably be Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, Andrew Heaney, some combination of that. The bullpen's good. You get to our bullpen, you're not scoring. Like Yency Almonte, Chris Martin, Evan Phillips, Alex Vesia had one of the highest K per nines in baseball this year. Dustin May will probably be in that bullpen. Please do not put Craig Kimbrell on the mound. I'll have a panic attack.
What are your thoughts on Kimbrel, man?
No. They replaced Kenley Jansen with Kenley Jansen. It's the same thing over and over and over and over again. And they're coming against these Padres, and the Padres aren't good. They're fine. They're hot, though. The Padres are hot in the streets right now. I have the Dodgers taking game 1. Mike Clevenger doesn't know where he is at any given time. And the Dodgers can beat Clevenger. They've proven it multiple times this year. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about if Freeman, Turner, and Betts don't go, the Dodgers are screwed. Postseason Bellinger will probably help, but to what degree? I think the Dodgers can win the series. I have the Dodgers winning this series, but it reminds me so much of the Giants series last year, where the Giants were hot. They were good during the regular season. Padres weren't as good during the regular season. I think the Dodgers are going to burn so much winning this series that it's going to cost them in the championship series, but I have the Dodgers winning it here. I think they outmatch the Padres is what it comes down to. Where the Mets, like, you could see where they would fall through the cracks. The Dodgers have they have nice cracks, but
okay.
But like, let's say Trent Grisham, the bottom of that lineup's hot. The Dodgers can get out Manny Machado. Go pull up a clip of Dustin May striking out Manny Machado. Go pull Fernando Tatis swinging his back out, even though he's suspended. The Dodgers can beat the top of that lineup. I'm just worried about the depth.
Yeah. And I mean, I get where you're coming from, being concerned of the Dodgers. And personally, if they make it to the NLCS, I don't see them, going, to the World Series. I think this is one of the teams. Hey, not gonna say the Mets because the Mets are the Mets. Nobody can be the Mets. They were hot in the regular season. Can they continue it? I think they can continue it past this round. I think they would take San Diego. I think it will be a lot closer than people think. I think I'm gonna go 5 games. I'm gonna just alternate. I think it 1-1, 2-1, 2-2. Dodgers winning. I do think. I mean, biggest. What about Musgrove? Him and his shiny ears. I think he. I don't know. I think that's one of the games where San Diego takes LA. And I think, San Diego will sneak out another win here. But I think it's going to be one of the series where LA not almost dominates, but it looks close on paper. Like they always have the momentum. They always have this, they always have that. But San Diego sticks around, wins one game here. They might dominate one game, but Dodgers in 5.
I want to say sweep for the Dodgers because this is the best Dodgers team I've seen in a long time. This is the best Dodgers team I've seen in years, if not all time. I mean, the record stands for it. And the Dodgers just slapped the Padres in the regular season. It's not even close. So realistically, on paper, this team should not even have a chance. But the way Musgrove has been pitching, the way Darvish has been pitching, I'm gonna stretch it to 4 games. Dodgers in 4. It's just too much. I don't think this is the least competitive game, I think, at least competitive series in my opinion, just because the Dodgers could do the Dodger normal thing and just choke like they always do. But I think that the Padres, they're just not, they're not stacked up well against the Dodgers. If they were, they would have proved it in the regular season. I get the Padres might be a better postseason team, but even if they were, it's hard to even break 500 with this team. So I don't see it going more than 4 games.
Yeah, and real quick, before we add our predictions in a minute, I do want to point out that the Dodgers, they're there, the team. You have, Freeman, and Freeman has to get his hits. Can he, what if Tatis is there? That's going to be the biggest question mark is, could they have won the series with Tatis? I don't think so. I still think the Dodgers win, but it's one of those questions, to keep in mind. Predictions. Brad.
Mookie Betts, take it over, do your thing, show the Padres why we're better. It's simple.
Yeah. No. Same thing. I mean, I think last series, Soto has to be the reason they win. I'm not taking Soto. He has to be the reason they win. I don't think he does, though. And for that reason, I am going with the one and only Will Smith.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right. I'm going Freddie. Big Freddie. He's gonna hit 3 singles a night. He's just gonna keep getting on base. He just does that. I mean, it's annoying to watch on television, but he's just gonna keep hitting singles. He might hit a double, but he's just gonna be on base all the time. And he's gonna be a pain for the Padres. He's just gonna be on base a lot. He's gonna become very familiar with the first baseman. So it's gonna be nice. I think Freddie's got MVP easy.
And thank you for listening to the 4A podcast. Let's go Dodgers.
Go
Win
Giants.
this. Let's go.
Go
See
Yankees.
you all next time.